Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, TNA are now bound for glory. They're on the road to that. But a lot of things are taking place. As you know, Masha Slamovich confronts, of course, Alicia for what happened at Victory Road. And of course, the never-ending saga with everything going on. As you know, Mike Santana has a target on everybody on the system, but he has to deal with the one guy that screwed him, JDC. We even have, of course, the Hardys teaming up with Masha Slamovich to take on the system. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then we move on, of course, with Ring of Honor. We have two Proving Ground matches, one for the ROH Women's World Television title and the World Tag Team titles. So basically, we got a lot of matches we're going to go through. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing Stardom's much recent event, 2 days in Aomori. And this one features many matches. Some are prelims, but also one that could lead up to the start of a brand new challenge for the Artists of Stardom titles, which is currently being held by the Cosmic Angels. So we'll get to that too. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are currently happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also got real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. I believe it's time to, of course, rock and roll. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this is from Stardom. Okay, Stardom, 2 days in Aomori, and this took place recently on the 18th of September. Now, this is day one for those who remember. Now, the first match we have Rian versus Mina Shirakawa. Now, as you all know, for a while now, Rian has been hinting about a specific unit she wants to join, but of course, EXV are trying to reel her in to join EXV. So basically, that wasn't the case. But however, she seems that she has improved just a little bit, but she hasn't picked up her very first win just yet, because you would have assumed in this match Mina Shirakawa would pick up the win when she applied the figure four leg lock, and just like that, it was over. Of course, Mina Shirakawa, in fact, through the promo, pretty much you probably would guess that she's hoping that she would join EXV. That's something that they've been targeting, because we know that, of course, they've been trying to persuade her to join. They're trying to strengthen their numbers. That was the whole point of the whole thing. Now, our next match, this one is a very interesting one. We have Sayaka Kurara, Saki Kashima, and Maika. Now, why do I think this was a very fun and curious match? Well, here's the reason. We all know Saki Kashima. When she faces hate, it's all business. But when it comes to her usual shenanigans, like let's say, try to buy her time and try to win in very unorthodox ways. Now, we do know one of her main weapons is the Kishikase. That's one of the things that help her. But one thing that was funny is that she tried to do one of those flips, and she landed on Kurara, and she pinned her. And Maika cannot believe that that happened. And then, of course, it became chaotic in the post match. Even though Saki Kashima won the match, Maika was livid. It's like, in some capacity, you would think Kashima has stolen her moment of glory. That I get, I mean, Kashima, I like how she is. I mean, she has ways of winning, but sometimes she doesn't think about, okay, she may take things too far. And of course, in the back, there's a clip where, of course, Saki Kashima was kind of saying, I did this, and Maika was not happy. But as for Kurara, well, she kind of doesn't know who actually pinned her. I mean, she's well aware that she lost, but she doesn't know who actually made the actual win. So I thought it was just too funny. But I wouldn't be surprised if Micah wants a singles match against her for payback for that match. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we have Raka versus Aya Sakura. Now, I'm sure Raka is tending to dismantle Sakura, due to the fact that we do know Sakura is set to challenge Rina for the Future of Stardom Championship. So that sets it up. Of course, we see the usual shenanigans, because we saw the box and Hate gets involved, and then, well, it kind of backfired just a little bit, but in fact, Ruka was in fact able to apply a power bomb to pick up the win. So I'm sure Raka is satisfied that she picked up the win and sent a direct message to Sakura on behalf of Rina. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, we have EXV members, Hanako, Waka Tsukiyama, and Zena versus, of course, God's Eye members, Rana Yagami, Lady C, and Sudi. So basically, nothing too significant of this particular match. But however, as you know, Hanako has been very big on a roll since, of course, applying that new submission move that she learned from Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, those who don't know this, when she was here last month, in the month of August, she went to the same jiu-jitsu school where Shinsuke has been training and I think teaching, and he taught her a few things. So that's been very helpful, and she tried that move on Rana Yagami, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have star members, Momokogo, Saya Ida, Hanan, Koguma, and Azuki. Now, Azuki has not been in her right state of mind since this past weekend, due to the fact that she lost to Natsupoi for the white belt. But however, she has to stay her head on the game, because they're facing against one of the most newer and now becoming more popular factions in Stardom, Neo Genesis. Miyu Amasaki, Suzuki, Azumi, Starlight Kid, and Mei Seda. Now, of course, a lot of factors are playing out. We do know that Koguma likes to play the little bear game with Amasaki. You probably would think there's a lot. However, this match ended with, of course, Ida getting trapped by Suzuki applying the tequila shot, and just like that, it was over. Now, our main event, we have Hate, consisting of Sayakami Tani, Konami, Momo Watanabe, and of course, Natsuko Tora, taking on the Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, Sayuri Ano, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. Now, of course, it's no secret that Cosmic Angels have been at war with hate ever since, of course, Natsuko Tora been targeting Tam since before the start of the 5-star Grand Prix. And I'm sure Natsuko Tora hasn't forgotten the humiliation she suffered in the hands of Tam, hoping she destroys her, and of course winning the red belt. But however, that may have been the case because, of course, Natsuko Tora will never rest until she destroys Tam, no matter what. But however, she may have that dream come true, all thanks to Kamitani when she applied the Frankensteiner on Sayuri Anu, and just like that, they pick up the win. But here's the interesting part. As you all know, Sayuri Anu, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano, they are the current Artists of Stardom champions. So basically, they haven't defended those belts just yet. But now they have interesting challengers. Now, of course, Natsuko Tora would love nothing more to take those belts off of them. And of course, she asked Okada to make this match happen. I'm sure Tam Nakano is not going to back down, but also she's not going to let Natsuko Tora and the rest of Hate to let them do whatever they want because they think they run the entire thing. But we'll see where that goes. I'm sure that will be announced soon enough, but we'll see until then. But for now, let's end things here with Stardom and move on with TNA. Okay, TNA. As you all know, the road to Bound for Glory has just begun. The battlefields are now being drawn, but how are the battlefields are going to be laid out? Well, we're just going to see little by little as we get there. Now, of course, it starts out with the most despicable person, Alicia Edwards. Well, she's being booed because she's still a little bitter for losing the tag team titles, and she's blaming the whole thing on Masha. Now, of course, speak of the devil, Masha shows up, and of course, well, Alicia thought that she was stupid because she can't speak English. Well, oopsie daisy, she can speak English. She was a bit of surprise, but of course, uh, Tasha Steele showed up to help her out. Luckily for Masha, she actually got help for herself, and that is Jordan Grace. And then, of course, the system showed up. Myers and Edwards showed up, and luckily, the Hardys also showed up too. So, but this caught the attention of our very favorite, very own Director of Authority, Santino Marella. Samagan Gun! That's right. So, he came up with the perfect idea for the main event, and that main event is going to be a 6-person tag match. Masha teaming up with the Hardys, while of course they deal with the system. Tasha, Myers, and Edwards. But of course, Santino was brutally, well, kind of interrupted by his own daughter, Ariana Grace, who is the liaison between TNA and NXT. Said that, of course, next week, Jordan Grace will pair it up with one of her best friends, if you can believe that, against, of course, the demonic duo of Rosemary and Wendy Chu. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Eric Young, as you know, has been like a mentor to certain people. So, he had a little pep talk with Josh Alexander. I'm sure Josh Alexander is currently cannot believe that he lost to Joe Hendry. His ways of trying to get back into the TNA World Title game is not going his plan. So Eric Young gave him a little pep talk. So hopefully that can get him a little perspective of what he needs to do. Now, Masha was making her way down the hall until Jordan Grace kind of had a little chat with her, telling her that she's been putting open challengers, and she was hoping that Masha would answer it. Masha said that she has thought about the idea, but for now, she said that she has some business to do, and she actually met with the Hardys. And she revealed that, growing up in Russia, she's been a big fan of wrestling, and of course, there's a picture of her with Matt Hardy. So she feels like now that her childhood dreams of watching the Hardys has come true. And of course, Matt Hardy says that's the whole point of pro wrestling. Dreams come true if you believe in them. So he said, I never thought I'd be me and my brother team up with this guy or face Ric Flair. That's the whole thing. And of course, that's the reality. And also, he told Jordan Grace, to face the reality that you will be teaming up with this mystery partner to deal with Wendy Chu and Rosemary. So, I have to say, Matt Hardy gave a good pep talk to everybody. So, go team! Now, our first match, we have First Class Casey Navarro and AJ Francis versus Sinner and Saint, Judas Icarus and Travis Williams. Now, you may have seen these guys in Prestige Wrestling a few times. Yes, I have seen these guys too. I have to say they did pretty well, but however, I feel now with First Class, this type has been established even more. I have to say, Casey Navarro and AJ had developed great chemistry now. I feel like they have improved on it because, of course, AJ Francis did the statement onto Williams, and then, of course, Casey Navarro did like a frog splash, and just like that, it was over. So it's only a matter of time until First Class gets themselves back onto the tag team title consistency. Now, Mike Santana put out a video promo. As you know, he has his sights set on JDC, who screwed him recently for the Road to Slammiversary. So now he's going to get a somewhat of a payback for what he cost him. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, we do see an interview with Mike Bailey. As you know, Mike Bailey has regained the X Division title, but however, next week he'll be teaming up with, of course, Kushida and Leon Slater Leon Slater versus Zachary Wentz, and I forgot who else to be facing, but that's going to be a very, very fun match to watch. Now, Matt Cardona, he was set to face against Rhino. Well, things got out of hand in this match because, of course, Rhino was intending to bring back ECW moments. He brought in a chair, but Cardona used that, and then he got disqualified. But PCO showed up just in time to save Rhino. So sooner or later, Matt Cardona has no choice but to confront PCO. Now, we do see a somewhat of an open challenge for the TNA World Tag Team, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles. Spitfire, as you know, this past Friday in Victory Road, they were able to regain the belts from Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards. So Rihanna Grace decided to introduce it to their opponents, and their opponents are coming all the way from NXT, Carly Bright and Kendall Gray. So I thought it's a very interesting thing to see those two together. We know those two have been tight. We have seen already recently how much they have developed, but unfortunately that did not go well according to their plan, because it was, of course, the teamwork with Danny Luna and Jordan Grace that they did apply to Carly Bright, and just like that, they retained the belts. And then once again, Ash by Elegance, being all dumb and stupid as always, being all beautiful, all that. They even introduced more of Heather Reckless. So I don't know where they're going to go from that, because we know Ash by Elegance have not been in her right state of mind ever since not able to win the TNA Knockouts title. But now it seems like Rosemary's gunning for it. Now, our next match, we have the Texas Death Match. We have JDC versus Mike Santana. Now, you know Mike Santana has waited for long to get his hands on JDC after he screwed him a while back for the Road of Slammiversary for a shot of the TNA World Championship. Now, of course, JDC was following the orders of Moose, who preceded Mike Santana as a threat. So that was the clear shot there. However, Mike Santana hasn't forgotten, but he kind of understood. You saw me as a threat. That's good. But he's like telling him, you should have finished the job. And he didn't do that. So all hell was breaking loose. Blood, all kinds of plunder was being used. But Santana took out JDC when he was on top of a ladder. Then blasto right on through the table. Uno, dos, tres. He was done. However, in the post-match, well, it seems like, the old saying goes, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So Moose realized, okay, JDC screwed up. He did not get the job done, so Moose will do the whole thing himself. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, as you know, we did see Josh Alexander have a little pep talk with, of course, with Eric Young. So I don't know what exactly he's planned, but he had a little chit-chat with two fellow Canadians, a Sinner and Saint. Judas Icarus and Travis Williams. So it seems like he is impressed by them in some capacity. So I don't know what's going on, but there's a part of me that was hinting the possibility that we will probably see Josh Alexander form a somewhat of a faction. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but we'll see. Now, as you all know, we did see a video vignette of the arrival of Zaya Zhao. Well, she goes now by the name of Li Ying Li, and she'll be making her debut next week. I'm kind of curious where they're going to go with this one. Now, we do see a promo with Joe Hendry. As you know, Joe Hendry is now making a play for the TNA World Championship. That's always been his goal. Now, of course, he was the heavy favorite to hopefully the win in Slammiversary, but nope, thanks to Josh Alexander, that kind of screwed up. However, the so-called king of king of TNA himself, Frankie Kazarian, had nothing. Decided, nope, hell no, I'm the one who's going to challenge for that belt. And of course, Nick Meneth, on the other hand, showed up too, and he commended Joe Hendry on his victory. But however, Nick Meneth made a good, valid point. Frankie Kazarian calls himself the king. How can he be the king if he does not have the TNA World Title? I mean, yeah. I mean, he kind of. This is like something we see with Naito. He talked about this with Suzuki many years ago, where he says, like, you call yourself the king of what? So that's kind of like that. But however, of course, the obvious question is, who's going to be taking dibs on Nick Meneth? Well, the Director of Authority himself, son of a gun, Santino Marella, had a brilliant idea. Next week, a number one contendership between Frankie Kazarian and, of course, Joe Hendry. And whoever wins will meet, of course, Nick Meneth in Bound for Glory. So I think we are in a fair state right there, too. Now, our main event, the System, Tasha Steelz, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers taking on Masha Slamovich, teaming up with one of her idols, the Hardys. So I thought it was a pretty good match, really interesting and fun. However, the X factor is this: we always see Alicia Edwards gets involved, but she actually got her hand caught in a cookie jar, and the ref told her to, you're out. She wasn't going nowhere. But of course, what's funny, the ABC who dealt with her decided, we're going to take her. So they kind of lifted her up and escorted her out of the whole thing. So that sets it up right there. And of course, that lead, of course, vulnerable the System. However, it was, of course, a twist of fate and a swanton onto Myers by Jeff Hardy to pick up the win. And Matt Hardy picked up the win with the pinfall, and just like that, it is. I think this is a very fun match. Masha got to team up with her heroes, and now we'll see where they're gonna go. I'm sure the Hardys have their sights set for the TNA World Tag Team titles, but Masha, I'm sure she would love to have nothing more to get an opportunity of the TNA Knockouts World Title. So we'll see where that goes from there. But for now, we are done with TNA. Let's move on with our last and final review, and that would be, of course, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. We opened up with a proving ground match for the ROH Women's World Television title. Red Velvet versus Allison Kay. Now remember, Allison Kay only has to last 10 minutes in order to get a shot. Well, it did not work in her favor. But it was a pretty good opener. But Red Velvet was the one who applied her move, which is like a front forward DDT or something. I don't know. But it was pretty cool. I like that. But I don't know what to name it. But of course, this is a direct message to Diamante recently. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match, we have the Gates of Agony. Teo Leona and Bishop Khan taking on Dante Leon and Trip Jordy. Well, I can assure you how this match ended. Apparently, of course, Dante Leon ended up on the wrong side of the gates. Or should I say, he actually opened the gates. And of course, Teo Leona picked up the win from there. Now, our next match, well, he shows up just yapping and yapping and yapping, and that is, of course, Brandon Cutler showed up, but he was not prepared to deal with el how do I say el perro peligroso, Preston Vance. Well, you can guess that this guy actually gave Brandon Cutler, something to think about, but it was, of course, the infamous disc lariat that was once passed on to him by the late Brody Lee that finished Brandon Cutler off. Now, as you know, last week we saw at the end of the main event, the Outrunners were attacked by the Iron Savages. Well, the Outrunners have a straight up message to, of course, the Iron Savages, and they're not done with them. They think of their actions, what they did was cowardly. So they say, we can flex muscle too, bitch, but they will deal with them soon enough. Now, our next match, we have John Silver taking on KM. Well, you see a much bigger, tall dude versus a small, bigger dude. So you can guess it doesn't matter. But I can tell you that John Silver picked up the win when he applied the Spin Doctor, and just like that, it was over. Now, we all were impressed by Josh Wood. Now, if you guys saw what he did some sort of a move where it's like a mixture of both the tombstone into a German suplex, but much intense. And that idiot Weasel, Smart Mark Sterling, decided to talk about that move, saying that they should be afraid of him for that. Well, there are people they would be, but there's those who are not afraid. But we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, we have Rachel Ellering taking on Maggie Lee. Well, I can tell you this one match with Rachel Ellering when she applied the Boss Woman Slam, and just like that, it was over. And then, of course, our next match, we have Anthony Ogogo coming back, taking out Kit Sackett. Well, he did hold on as long as possible until, of course, Anthony Ogogo knocked him up with the pop-up knockout, and just like that, it was over. Then, of course, we have Brian Cage versus Dion Russman. Well, I can tell you that this match really was interesting. Now, we have seen over time with Brian Cage, when it comes to his ability, he knows how to put stronger moves that knock person out, but he did a inverted Texas cloverleaf that sealed the deal. Normally, we never seen him do submissions, but it seems like he learned something in his arsenal that helped him very much. Now, of course, we did see a little video promo with Anthony Ogogo and Shane Taylor. It seems now that Anthony Ogogo wants titles now, and of course, Shane Taylor is making his moves in Ring of Honor, so we will see where that goes. Now, our next match is a proving ground match for the World Tag Team titles. We have Dark Order, Uno and Reynolds taking on Guevara and Rhodes. So, of course, this was something that we've been seeing. Of course, Silver was going to get involved, but nothing helped in their favor. But it was towards the end, Sammy Guevara with the Swanton onto Reynolds that picked up the win. However, during the post-match, of course, the Cage of Agony showed up, and then the Dark Order even helped. So it became a 6-on-2 scenario. No Shibata, no Von Erich. So basically, we know that they've been targeting them for a while, so we'll see what happens next week with them. But for now, we'll end things here with our news updates, with our reviews, and move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So, let's begin with the upcoming events with the promotions. Now, we have House of Glory coming up for Salvation next month on the 18th of October. It was just revealed the House of Glory World Title will be defended. Mike Santana defends his belt against Masato Tanaka. So, yep, The former ECW World Champion will be making his presence known too. Now, more names have been added for the upcoming event for Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling in Canada for the Forge in Excellence that goes on between the 19th and the 20th of October. Those names, there are two names that I'm not familiarized with. One is Aiden Prince, Brent Banks, Lainey Luck, I heard of her, and of course you may have known this one, Sam Laterna. So that's right, as you guys know, she's no longer working with TNA, so she is now going to be helping out in the I'm sure the announced team in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. And then finally, there was a big interesting announcement. Yoshi wrestler Maya Yukihi has announced that she'll have a 10th anniversary show on, of course, on February 15th of 2025. This will take place in Corkin Hall. Now, there certain information I haven't gotten yet, but once I do get that information on it, I'll let you guys know. Now, on to developments. PW Insider reports backstage, presence there. Adam Cole was recently in the backstage of AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday, and the week before that, Julia Hart. Now, we both know these two were out of action due to injuries. There's been talks about Adam Cole making his return. Julia Hart, that is still in, has not been, of course, announced, but hopefully soon. Recent developments. Otis and Tucker, if you guys remember Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker were part of that awesome tag team that were really fun to enjoy. It seemed like they were reuniting, working out. So it's great to see those two are still hanging out. I mean, it sucks that Tucker got released, but at least he still stays in touch with Otis. Now, Ken Shamrock recently told on Chris Van Vliet that he signed a Legends contract with WWE. So as the whole thing about, making appearances and this and that. So we'll see where that goes. Now, I did mention this a while back. Now, the Lucha Brothers, as you know, left AEW, and there was the chances of making going to WWE. Now, many people presumed, of course, that the Lucha Brothers will go to NXT. However, it was later foretold that they want to be at the main roster. They want the full package deal. But I did state it that, of course, the ball is on WWE's court. Well, the mighty behold, they were granted their permission. They're skipping the NXT thing, so they're jumping into the main roster. However, it's still unclear which main roster, whether will it be with Raw or SmackDown. That is still unclear. So we'll get to that when the time comes. Now, Mercedes Mone, there was something about her. Let me pull up my phone. I saved it right here. There was still a lot of information. Okay, here it is. Mercedes Mone was recently on Mone Mag and talked about, of course, an interview about Megan Thee Stallion. Now, those who may have heard that there was a talk about, of course, collaborating with her, but apparently this is what she said. It's true. A few weeks ago in an interview, I made a mistake teasing the idea of working with Megan Thee Stallion, which made the headlines. More recently, it was announced that Meg would be part of the new SmackDown theme. It could be a coincidence, of course, but then they don't call me the blueprint for nothing. In hindsight, I should have kept my mouth shut about it, and you all can, all you can do is live and learn. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't think she was well aware that this was going to happen, but it kind of did. Now, MARIGOLD has announced a brand new trainee has passed their protest. Not protest, protest. If you put like the dash in between the pro and the test, you know what I mean. And this person is someone that I mentioned. We have Naho Yamada. Now, Yaho Yamada originally came from At Risk Girls. It was announced that she was leaving. She'll be making her debut real soon on the 23rd of this month in Corkin Hall. And this is a bit of the basics we do know about her. She was born in Nishinoyama City in Hyogo Prefecture. Her height is about 157 centimeters, weight 53 kilograms. or something like that. But yes, so she'll be making her debut, and that is something I'm sure. If you guys know it, they've been mostly recruiting girls from at-risk girls, which is kind of strange, but nonetheless, that's what's happening. So I think that's pretty much it for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Rampage. I don't know when it's going to end. There's been talk about canceling it, and some of us can say it's about time. I did like Rampage. I mean, there were some good matches they had, but we'll see. So let's just enjoy it while it lasts. And of course, we have NXT Level Up. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to put in, but at the moment, I'm still behind on MARIGOLD and, of course, other events. So let me remind you, this Saturday I will be attending West Coast Pro here in San Diego. They'll be doing the San Diego Showdown, and I'll be doing a DWZ at the wrestling events. So you guys will enjoy that clip. So it's kind of like a vlog mixture of seeing clips of what's going on over there. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is and move forward. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. Must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.